Gucci, when you first hear people say, oh man, it went down from like, oh, Gucci's dead, oh, they released a different Gucci from prison, so on and so forth. What do you think when you first see something where people saying, oh, Gucci Mane is cloned?
It really doesn't surprise me, man, because I always been an enigma.
Right, hello.
And I always been just, like, I always been so many rumors about him. I feel like.
You know what I'm saying? They could control Shaq. They could control Charles Barkley. They could control LeBron James.
What if the wildest twist in hip-hop history wasn't a comeback, but a straight-up body swap? That's the question that's kept fans talking ever since Gucci Mane stepped out of that Indiana federal prison back in May 2016, looking like a totally different man. The transformation was so extreme that people barely recognized him. Gone was the round-faced trap legend who used to stumble through interviews, inked up and unpredictable. In his place stood someone leaner, lighter, calm, polished, smiling through brand new teeth and sounding like he just walked out of a TED Talk instead of a cell. Within hours of his release, social media exploded. People couldn't stop asking the same question. Who is this? Some swore the real Gucci was gone and this was just a clone rocking his chain.
Than I used to be, I'm nowhere near that. Like, I'm way more mature, I'm way nicer, I'm just not the same just mean person that I used to be. I used to be just always kind of like pessimistic, you know what I'm saying? Now I ain't pessimistic, now I'm optimistic.
Flashback to 2014, Gucci had hit rock bottom after that chaotic night in Atlanta when he was arrested for charging at police while armed. His mugshot, unforgettable. Puffy eyes, bloated cheeks, and that infamous ice cream tattoo screaming off his face like a warning. But when he came back 2 years later, that same tattoo looked almost faded. His skin looked smoother, and his entire aura had shifted. Fans started zooming in, comparing angles, lighting, even screenshots, desperate to prove something wasn't right. But what really had people uneasy wasn't just the missing tattoo or the washboard abs, it was the attitude. This new Gucci wasn't shouting Zone 6 anymore. He was quoting motivational books, preaching peace, and thanking God for balance and clarity. Even his voice had changed, softer, higher, almost cautious. And people who'd known him for years whispered that this wasn't just a sober man finding peace. Something felt deeper, almost eerie. The biggest clue? It came from home. Keisha Coware, his longtime ride-or-die turned wife, didn't just support him through recovery. She controlled it. In interviews, she admitted she deletes Gucci's social apps, changes his passwords, and even locks down his phone if she senses an episode coming. Her reason? The public doesn't need to know when he's struggling, but that explanation only made things sketchier. Fans started asking, is she protecting her man or managing a product? Because let's be real, that level of control didn't exist before prison, and it kicked in right after his release, exactly when people started saying he wasn't the same Gucci anymore.
Yeah, I go. Yeah, but I guarantee you, Walker C, Slick Puller, they gonna hit.
Yeah.
ASAP. Hey, no.
Yeah.
Hey, man.
Gucci reaching in your pocket now.
Going straight.
Hold on over there.
I have just been promoted to I'm the shooter's boss now. I don't have to do that.
To understand why this clone theory caught fire, you gotta rewind to 2013, the infamous Twitter meltdown. One random September day, Gucci went nuclear online, blasting nearly everyone in hip-hop. Nicki Minaj, Waka Flocka, Yo Gotti, Birdman, even Drake caught heat. He claimed wild hookups, called people fake, and basically set the internet on fire. Hours later, he posted an apology, saying he was embarrassed and ashamed, blaming it all on lean and prescription pills. But that meltdown was the last time fans felt like they saw the real Gucci Mane. After that, it's been mystery, management, and maybe something way deeper than just redemption. Months after that infamous meltdown, Gucci found himself locked up again, this time for possession and threatening behavior, earning a 3-year sentence behind bars. By that point, he had pushed away nearly everyone in his circle. But then, out of nowhere, the story flipped like a plot twist in a movie. When Gucci finally walked free in 2016, he posted photos from his mansion that looked straight out of a fitness commercial, abs sharp, smile brighter than ever, and energy that didn't match the man fans remembered. Gone were the tired eyes and that heavy Atlanta drawl. Instead, his speech came out clean, rehearsed, almost like he'd been practicing in front of a mirror for months. "I'm a new person," he told fans, and that line instantly became a headline. But one person wasn't buying it, his ex-girlfriend, Mac Breezy. She jumped in quick, saying, that wasn't him. In her interviews, she swore the man claiming to be Gucci felt like a stranger wearing Gucci's smile. Her words didn't go viral, but inside Atlanta's tight studio circles, her claims hit hard.
You just probably want to lay down with the queen and you good.
I wanted to out hustle everybody. I wanted to take my career to another level. I want to take my finances to another level. I just wanted to step my whole life up. You know what I'm saying? I want to step my look up. I wanted to recreate my record label from ground up because all my artists, they had, did separate deals. I had worked that out for them because I couldn't help them.
Right. Damn.
The whispers only got louder after Gucci dropped his 2025 memoir episodes, The Diary of a Recovering Madman. In the book, he dropped a bombshell, revealing that he'd been diagnosed with schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. He opened up about hearing voices, feeling watched, and slipping in and out of psychosis. Fans praised him for being raw and honest, but the revelation also made the so-called clone theory even messier. Because if he really struggled with conditions that blurred reality and identity, then was this new Gucci just a recovery story or something more complicated hiding under the label of mental health? And just when the internet started to move on, another wild twist resurfaced. The bizarre story of rapper Hopsin. Years earlier, during a chaotic live stream, Hopsin claimed he'd been trapped inside a Gucci bodysuit, allegedly forced by shadowy industry elites under threats to his family. At the time, everyone laughed it off as one of his pranks or some weird performance art. But when Gucci's memoir confirmed his struggles with delusion and identity distortion, Hopsin's crazy confession suddenly didn't sound that impossible anymore. Some fans started connecting dots. If Hopsin was forced to impersonate Gucci, then what really happened to the real man during those silent months in federal custody?
You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to be extremely important, and people got to give a damn about you when somebody make up a rumor that you've been cloned.
I'm one of a kind, man.
Yes, sir.
I'm like a tourist attraction. I'm like the seventh wonder of the world, so I expect stuff like that.
Man.
The official story sounded perfect. Gucci found redemption, beat his demons, cleaned up, married Keisha Kaoir, and turned his life into a symbol of discipline and rebirth. But when you peek behind the curtain, things start looking too polished. In 2020, Kaoir herself revealed something shocking on The Breakfast Club. She said during one of Gucci's episodes, she actually staged a fake abduction to get him hospitalized. Her exact words, "We kidnapped him and took him to the hospital." She explained how 6 bodyguards restrained him while he fought to escape. She told it like a story of love, but a lot of people heard something else. To them, it sounded like a handler describing a capture. By that time, Kaoir had complete control over his life, managing his business, approving his brand deals, editing his book, and even stepping in during interviews before Gucci could answer tough questions. Whenever the topic turned to his mental health, she would take over, breaking down his symptoms. Insomnia, silence, paranoia, like she was reading from a medical report. Observers started saying she didn't sound like a wife anymore, more like a caretaker or even a supervisor. And the more she described their marriage as a system where I control everything, the deeper the mystery got. Because if the new Gucci was truly free and reborn, why did his world sound more like a cage with velvet walls?
How many welcome, not even a number, but you got to hear welcome home, welcome back, welcome, good to see you again. You know what I'm saying? Because you one of those cats, man, you've always been 100,000 with everybody, with me, whoever it may be, man. And when I got the Will You interview, I was like, hell yeah, I bring Gucci into the neighborhood.
On stage, Gucci couldn't stop smiling, glowing like a man who'd finally found peace. But off stage, his interviews told a different story. His tone was cautious, his words calculated, almost like every answer had been rehearsed in front of a mirror. When reporters asked him about the clone rumors, he dodged it smoothly. "A clone is like perfection," he joked once, grinning wide. "If I look like a machine, I'm doing something well." That line was supposed to sound funny, but it only made things worse. To conspiracy circles, it didn't sound like humor at all. It sounded like a confession. Then out of nowhere, Yed jumped into the mix, stirring the pot even more. He claimed the real Gucci Mane had died behind bars, and that Keisha Cowere's real job was to manage his replacement. Ye had been talking about cloning and secret government programs for years, but this time his words hit differently because they lined up with everything Gucci's exes had been hinting at years earlier. Those same women had said Cower kept Gucci sedated with prescription meds, controlled his money through joint accounts, and limited who he could see or talk to. Each claim added another layer to the idea that this wasn't just a transformation, it was a takeover.
You know what I'm saying? They could control Shaq. They could control Charles Barkley. They could control LeBron James.
Insiders from Atlanta's music scene quietly backed some of those whispers too. They said that after 2016, Gucci rolled with a new security team, one that answered to Coeur, not his label. His longtime manager got replaced, his old collaborators disappeared, and the Brick Squad crew that once defined his sound, gone. Even Drake, who once joked, "Ain't no clone," we need to stop mentioning the rumors altogether. To the public, it looked like rebranding. But to those who'd been around before fame polished the rough edges, it looked like containment, because every transformation in hip-hop has witnesses, except this one. The people who knew Gucci before prison either went silent, vanished from the industry, or refused to speak on record, and in their place, a new brand empire, where cosmetics, fitness partnerships, lifestyle endorsements, all carefully packaged around this image of Gucci reborn. But beneath the success, strange inconsistencies kept showing up. Tattoos fading or shifting, facial lines that looked altered, even stories in interviews that didn't line up with earlier timelines. Fans pointed out details, screenshots, and side-by-side comparisons that the mainstream media ignored. The official story always came back to the same explanation: therapy, medication, recovery. But even mental health experts have quietly noted that schizophrenia doesn't change someone's facial bone structure or erase tattoos overnight.
Walk in there.
Yeah.
But do you feel as if though you're a totally different person?
I do. I feel like I done grown and matured. Like the person I was at 10 years ago, I'm not the same person.
Yeah.
Still, it's not just the physical changes that make people uneasy. It's the secrecy. Kawhi herself admitted she wipes all traces of Gucci's public activity whenever he's going through something. She deletes texts, posts, and even cancels appearances until he's stable. She said it's to protect his privacy, but it also means there's no unfiltered evidence of what's really happening behind those mansion doors. No one outside their home ever knows when Gucci's speaking freely, or when he's being monitored. That kind of silence doesn't kill speculation. It feeds it. And in an industry already full of secrets, it's no wonder the clone talk refuses to die. Gucci's own memoir tried to shut it all down, painting him as a man reborn, sober, healed, and fighting the stigma around mental health in the Black community. His message about accountability and growth was powerful, no question. But behind that noble image, one question still refuses to fade away. If this is all redemption, why does everyone around him act like they're hiding something? Why did Coeur need 6 bodyguards to restrain her husband out of love? Why does every crisis end with his voice disappearing from the internet? No posts, no videos, no live appearances, just silence until she says he's ready again? We can take the official story at face value and say he's healing. But the truth is, the pattern, the control, the secrecy, the perfectly timed comebacks feels too tight to ignore. And as more insiders hint that the real story is still locked away behind mansion walls, fans can't help but wonder, what are they keeping hidden from us? Because every time Gucci shows up looking smoother, calmer, more polished, he looks just a little less like the man we once knew, and a little more like someone trained to convince us he's real.
Right?
Yeah.
I ain't never been back to the hospital since 2015, but every time they say I'm crazy, it's just when I'm saying the truth.
When Ye jumped into the Gucci conversation in 2025, his comments didn't just come out of thin air. The timing was surgical. That week, Gucci's memoir had just dropped. The same one where he confessed to hearing voices and feeling like people were plotting against him. So when Ye started warning the world about the entertainment industry cloning its artists, it didn't sound like a random rant anymore. It sounded like a warning that hit way too close to home. Because think about it, when a man like Ye, who's lived his own public breakdowns, starts naming names and connecting dots, it stops sounding like conspiracy chatter and starts sounding like an alarm someone's trying to silence.
I think he's telling everybody exactly what they don't want to hear.
No comment wasn't cutting it anymore. Ye was saying the quiet part out loud, and the name he dropped just happened to be the same one describing psychosis and identity confusion in his own book. That's not coincidence, that's pattern. He didn't mince words either. He claimed certain artists had been replaced, swapped out for compliant versions, molded into obedient, market-friendly puppets of their former selves. And when you line that up with Gucci's transformation, the body change, the perfect behavior, the robotic calm, the mysterious internet disappearances, it checks every box. Gucci himself admitted during one manic phase, he gave away hundreds of thousands in jewelry and cash, throwing money at people like he was possessed. But while all that chaos was happening, Keisha Kawir controlled every dollar, every deal, every phone call, every meeting. She decided who he saw, what contracts went through, even what interviews he could accept. What looked like a love and support system started to feel like a control room, a containment protocol, and she didn't even hide it. On The Breakfast Club, Kaur said it loud and proud. I delete Instagram, I delete everything. Even if I gotta change his password, I'm changing it. That wasn't just a protective move, that was a statement of power. She wasn't just his wife, she was the gatekeeper to his public identity. Every time Gucci had a breakdown, his social media went dark, his interviews stopped, and his team fell silent, like someone had hit a pause button on his entire existence until he was ready to be shown again.
Because she has made this very clear, she wants her kids to have a relationship with their father. She's not trying to stand in the way of that. But when he says things like this, at some point, she has to be thinking, I don't know if this is good for our kids to be around this.
And the control didn't stop online. Insiders claim that Kawir built a strict, safe routine at home. No unapproved visitors, no late-night studio sessions, and definitely no traveling alone. It sounds like wellness, but the more control she gained, the more Gucci seemed empty. His longtime collaborators described him as polite but distant, saying the man they used to know, the one who'd crack jokes and light up a room, was gone. One producer even said off record, "It's like working with somebody whose memories were downloaded from the cloud." Creepy, right? Then came the curveball that set social media on fire. In 2023, rapper Lil Boosie, who had spent real time in the studio with Gucci, gave an interview saying the new Gucci didn't just feel different, he was different. Boosie even slipped up, saying he'd once called him Herman. That name sent the internet into meltdown mode. Fans were like, who is Herman? It wasn't an alias anyone had ever heard before, and it didn't match any of Gucci's government names. Some people thought it was the real identity of a body double, maybe even a code name from some kind of covert experiment. Others said Boosie just slipped up, maybe confusing reality with the clone story he'd been hearing for years. But either way, it reignited the question that just won't die. Who exactly is the man calling himself Gucci Mane today?
You know what's crazy about this, man, is that it's still Gucci Mane, though. You know what I'm saying? It's not, yeah, and I love it, though. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, I'm gonna always be myself, because, like, you know, when I was doing the things I was doing, that was me. I wasn't putting no cut on it. I would just, you know, if I had a problem with somebody, I would say it. Everything, I was just a walking just spokesman for just being brutally honest.
From a psychological angle, the story gets even darker. Sure, schizophrenia can blur reality, make someone doubt what's real, but what happens when the people around that person control the reality itself? If Kawir and her circle decided what Gucci saw, who he talked to, and when he was allowed to speak, then his very sense of self could be manufactured by them. That means every smile, every carefully worded quote, every "I'm doing great" moment could be part of a larger performance, one that's rehearsed and managed from the shadows. And that's where the conversation shifts. This isn't just about mental health anymore. It's about power. Because behind every clone rumor, there's a bigger truth about behavioral replication. Industry veterans have whispered for years that cloning isn't always about making physical copies. It's about breaking people down and rebuilding them into something the system can control. A version that won't argue, won't question, won't rebel, just perform. So maybe Ye wasn't talking science fiction when he brought it up. Maybe he was calling out a system that's been reprogramming stars for years. And Gucci just happened to be the most visible example. Because if what we're seeing is recovery, then why does it look so much like conditioning? They say you can always spot the pattern. Stars vanish in chaos, then come back reprogrammed. Fresh bodies, new faces, different energy, and a whole new team calling the shots. And Gucci Mane's case fits that pattern a little too perfectly. It's not just him either. People point to Britney Spears and Amanda Bynes, all going through that same eerie cycle. A breakdown, a silence, then a rebirth under strict control. Each return looks glossier, calmer, and most importantly, way more profitable. But behind those bright smiles and fitness photos, there's one big question nobody can shake. Are these artists truly recovering, or are they being reconditioned? Look at Gucci's story after 2016. He went from facing years in federal prison to dropping books, launching fitness deals, and showing up as a motivational speaker like nothing ever happened. Overnight, he turned from a symbol of chaos into a poster boy for redemption. But if you look closer, you'll notice the people who built trap music with him, Waka Flocka, Zaytoven, OJ the Juice Man, they're nowhere near his circle anymore. Instead, his crew got replaced by polished executives, publicists, image consultants, the kind of people who turn authenticity into a brand. His world got smaller, tighter, more controlled, like a corporation with Keisha Kaoyer sitting in the CEO chair. Even the money trail tells a story. Public business records list Kaoyer as the majority stakeholder in several ventures under the 1017 brand, including fitness and beauty lines. Fans cheer for their power couple empire, but insiders whisper something different. They claim Gucci's personal assets are locked into joint accounts that only Kaoyer can touch. Whenever he's not doing well, she reportedly freezes access for his safety. But in reality, that means every dollar, every move, every transaction depends on her approval. So how much freedom does that leave a man who once bragged about throwing stacks off stage just for fun?
Me and the people who I've worked with, my circle, everything else, I wouldn't want to come to the radio.
Then there's the spooky consistency in how his crises unfold. The timeline practically writes itself. 2016, release, silence, transformation. 2020, breakdown, forced hospitalization, silence. 2025, memoir launch, renewed control, silence again. Each chapter ends with the same quiet fade, Gucci's voice disappearing right when curiosity hits its peak. Even his memoir, co-written by Kathy Ian Doley, includes pages completely blacked out, supposedly to represent lost memories. Artistic choice? Maybe, but some fans believe those blank pages are more than symbolism. Maybe they're the parts he wasn't allowed to tell. And when you line this up with other celebrity rebirths, the similarities hit like deja vu. You talked about handlers assigned to control him when things got messy. Britney's conservatorship worked the same way. Legal power disguised as protection. Every time a famous person spirals, someone steps in claiming to save them, and that same savior ends up owning their money, their voice, and their image. Gucci's story slides right into that same formula, but with one haunting twist. He admitted to hearing voices long before anyone took control of his life. So if those voices told him people were plotting against him, and those same people later took over his career, how can anyone tell where the paranoia ends and reality begins? We can follow the clean version the media sells us, the redemption arc, the healthy transformation, the loving power couple. But the private story is something else entirely. The studio homies who stopped getting calls, the bodyguards who were suddenly replaced, the family members who don't post photos anymore, all gone quiet. Every public statement about Gucci comes from Kaoyer's team, not Gucci himself. His last solo live stream, years ago. Every interview since then is pre-taped, edited, and filtered through networks that depend on his cooperation. That's not openness, that's orchestration. Even the so-called proof of the real Gucci, the gym selfies, the family vlogs, the smiling photo ops, they all feel too polished, too practiced, almost like scripted content. Fans have gone full detective mode, comparing side profiles, lighting angles, jawlines, and even tattoo placements to see if everything lines up. Some claim one side of his face looks slightly off. Others swear his voice tone shifted after 2019 recordings. Critics call it over-analysis, but let's be honest, these are the same tiny forensic details used in real investigations. When enough little inconsistencies start stacking up, denial stops sounding smart and starts sounding naive.
You do the music for it to be heard. You want it to be shared. You want people to appreciate it. And at the same time, you want people to be fascinated by you.
Like,
I want people to be fascinated by me.
And you definitely, if the spotlight is turned on me, while they got this light on me, I'm also doing this and I'm working on this. So keep the light on me. I'm ready to go ahead and step into this and shine for it.
Exactly.
Man,
all positive.
How many welcome, not even a number, but
Because maybe, just maybe, this isn't about clones in labs or sci-fi fantasies. Maybe it's about something much darker: control, image, and ownership in a system that rewards obedience over authenticity. And if Gucci's story proves anything, it's that in the entertainment world, redemption might just be another word for replacement. But beyond all the mystery and conspiracy, there's a tragic human side we can't ignore. Because if Gucci really is battling mental illness, and that struggle has been twisted into profit, that's darker than any clone theory could ever be. Imagine convincing a vulnerable man that his confusion is healing, that every deleted post, every blackout, every silence is just therapy. That's not care. That's control dressed up as compassion. And maybe Ye was right all along. Maybe the real cloning isn't about flesh and DNA, but about obedience, about reshaping people until they stop fighting and start performing. If that's the case, then Gucci's so-called transformation might be the entertainment industry's most successful experiment yet. A living blueprint for how to rebuild an artist into something sellable, predictable, and perfectly contained. When you start putting the puzzle pieces together, Ye's warnings, Keisha Kaoir's total control, Boozie's strange Herman slip, the blacked out memoir pages, the fading tattoos, it all forms a picture too calculated to call coincidence. Gucci Mane might have written a story about recovery, but maybe the real story isn't about what he remembers. It's about what they made him forget. So the question becomes, is Gucci's peace really the result of healing or programming? Did we witness a man rise above his demons, or did we watch a replacement perfected in plain sight? Every clue, every silence, every missing friend seems to whisper the same thing. Something's off. Now it's your turn. What do you think? Is the Gucci we see today a reformed survivor or the industry's most convincing replica? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Share this with someone who remembers the old Gucci, and make sure to like, subscribe, and stay locked in for the next deep dive into fame's strangest secrets. Until then, stay alert, stay curious, and remember, every transformation comes with a price.